Hello. My name is Aya Minamoto. I am 23 years old. I live alone in Tokyo. I want to tell you what happened to me. I did not believe in ghosts. I believed in quiet routines, trains that arrive on time, small meals after work, and the idea that nothing strange could happen in my life if I stayed ordinary. 3 months ago I moved to Tokyo for a stable job. The salary was fine. The rent was high. My apartment was small, 1 room, a narrow hallway, and a little kitchen. I told myself that if I worked hard I could build a new life. I told myself loneliness was normal in a big city. It was a Wednesday night. The air was cold and heavy. I walked home along a side street to avoid the crowds. Neon lights reflected on wet pavement. The city felt tired. That was when I saw it, an old shop hidden between 2 buildings. A dusty window. A wooden door. A faint yellow light inside that did not touch the street. I pushed the door. A thin bell rang and died too quickly. The air inside felt thick. Old wood. Paper. A hint of incense that did not smell pleasant or familiar. Shelves leaned against each other. Books stacked like forgotten memories. Lanterns without light. A man behind the counter looked at me once and then looked down again. "Welcome, ma'am. Can I help you?" he said. "Just looking," I said. I walked slowly. The light did not reach the back of the shop. There, on a small shelf, one picture frame faced the wall as if someone had turned it away. I lifted it and turned it toward me. A black and white photograph. A girl. Long black hair covering one side of her face. Only one eye visible. That eye stared forward, dark and wet, with a line of blood trailing down. The blood looked thick, not like paint. Her skin looked pale, too pale to belong to a living person. She was smiling, but the smile was wrong, too wide, too careful, like she had watched people smile and tried to copy it without understanding how a mouth should move. The image gave me a cold feeling in my stomach. I told myself it was art. Strange, unusual, but only art. "I will take this," I said. The man wrapped it in brown paper without speaking. He took my money. He did not look at me again. I said thank you. He did not say goodbye. I took the MRT home. The train air smelled like rain and metal. I held the wrapped frame close and waited for my station. When I reached my apartment, I removed my shoes and turned on the light. The place felt quiet. Too quiet. I unwrapped the photograph and hung it in the hallway between the door and my bedroom. It looked old and delicate on the white wall. I stared at it for a long time. 5 minutes, maybe more. The girl's hair covered half her face. Only one bleeding eye looked back at me. I felt a strange pull, like the photograph wanted attention. I told myself it was just my imagination. I cooked dinner. I ate. I watched a little YouTube to fill the silence. At night I turned off the lights and went to bed. I slept without dreams. In the morning I showered and dressed for work. Before I left, I looked at the photograph. My heart felt tight. The girl's head seemed a little more tilted. The smile a little deeper. The one eye looked glossier, as if wet. I told myself I was remembering it wrong. I took a breath and went to work. During break, I went to wash my hands. The mirror was bright and clean. When I lifted my head, I saw her behind me. Pale face. Long hair covering one side completely. Only one eye visible. Blood falling slowly from it. On her forehead, under the hair, I saw a burned pentagram shape. She smiled with that stretched, unnatural smile. My body froze. I could not breathe. I blinked hard. She was gone. The mirror showed only me. The faucet dripped slowly. The sound felt loud. You are tired. That is all, I told myself. Work stress, city pressure. I dried my hands and returned to my desk without telling anyone. I pretended nothing was wrong. After work I took a taxi instead of the train. I did not want to be around people. When I got home, I walked to the hallway. The photograph hung there. The frame was straight. The girl's hair looked heavier, falling across her face more. Only the one bleeding eye showed. Under the frame, on the floor, was a small dark drop. I touched it with tissue. It left a faint red stain. The smell was iron, thin but sharp. I cleaned it. I washed my hands too long. I made dinner. I could not taste it. I left the hallway light on. I did not want to see the frame in the dark. I lay in bed with the door open. I could see a thin slice of the hallway and the edge of the frame. I fell asleep slowly, with fear sitting heavy on my chest. In the night I woke suddenly. Silence pressed against my ears. Then I heard it, a soft slide from the hallway, like a fingertip moving on glass. Then a quiet tap. I did not move. I stared at the doorway until morning light crept across the wall. When I approached the photograph, fresh blood smeared lightly from the bottom edge to the floor. Thin and silent, like something inside had pressed its face against the glass during the night. The girl's head was tilted farther. Her smile was deeper. The pentagram mark looked darker, burned deeper into her flesh. Only when I stared through the glass. It seemed brighter, alive. I took a picture with my phone, then another one to compare. The changes were small but real. I swallowed metal in my throat. I left quickly. On the street, cold wind touched my face. As I walked toward the MRT, I stopped. Across the road stood a woman. Still. Silent. Her hair covered half her face. Only one eye visible, bleeding slowly. The same burned mark on her forehead. She stared at me without moving. A bus passed, and when it cleared, she was gone. I felt empty inside. My breath shook. I walked down into the station and held the rail with a shaking hand. That night I ate without tasting anything. I sat on the floor and watched the hallway. I did not close the door. I waited. I listened. The apartment smelled faintly like iron again. I slept with the light on. In the very early morning, just before dawn, I heard a single soft knock from the hallway. Not on the door. On the glass of the frame. I did not move. I listened to my heartbeat and the quiet after. When light finally touched the wall, I stood and walked slowly to the photograph. The girl looked back at me. Half of her face hidden by hair. One bleeding eye open and waiting. A thin smear of blood dried on the glass inside the frame, like something had pressed against it from the other side. I told myself I would go to work. I told myself I would act normal. I put on my coat and locked the door. If I had pressed my ear to the glass before leaving, I think I would have heard breathing. Soft, slow, patient. Not mine. I did not look at the frame again. I kept my eyes forward, put on my shoes, and left the apartment. I closed the door gently, as if any loud sound might wake something waiting on the other side. I told myself I only needed to reach the outside. I only needed to reach daylight. That was enough. I walked to the MRT station with a tight chest and cold fingers. The morning felt too quiet, as if the city had paused and waited for me to pass. On the train, I stood near the door and tried to calm my breathing. People stood close to me, but it felt like I was alone in a glass box. Their voices sounded far away, like echoes behind a wall. I looked at the window reflection. First, I saw only passengers. Tired faces. Phones in hands. Normal life around me. Then I saw her. In the reflection behind my shoulder. Hair falling over one side of her face. One eye visible. Bleeding slowly. A burnt pentagram shining faintly on her forehead. I turned fast. Nothing there. Only a bag hanging from a handrail. Only empty space where she should have been. I stared at the train floor until the doors opened again. When I stepped out, my legs felt weak. I took a taxi the rest of the way. I could not risk seeing her in the glass again. At work nothing made sense. Numbers blurred. My fingers trembled when I typed. I opened files I did not need. I forgot what I was doing. Coffee tasted bitter and heavy, like metal. Water felt thick in my throat. My coworker asked me if I was okay. I said yes, but the word felt fragile. I told my boss I felt sick. He let me go home early. Outside the office, the air felt cold and thin. Every sound seemed distant. Every shadow felt like it leaned toward me. At my building entrance, my hand hesitated on the key. I did not want to go inside, but I had nowhere else to go. I unlocked the door and stepped into silence. The hallway light flickered once. I looked at the photograph. Her head had turned farther, almost facing the door. The single eye looked wet and bright, as if it had been crying blood all night. A thin streak of dark red clung to the inside of the glass, sliding slowly downward. On the floor beneath the frame, the wood had burned deeper. A pentagram marked into it, black and rough. In the center, scratched in thin strokes, was my name. Aya. The letters looked freshly carved, sharp and angry, like they had been made by something that did not use hands. My mouth went dry. I grabbed the frame from the wall. My fingers felt numb, like I was touching ice. I did not think. I left the apartment, walked down the stairs fast, and threw the frame into the alley. I smashed it against concrete. Glass cracked and fell. The wooden frame broke. I tore the picture. I kicked the pieces until the image was ruined and silent. I dropped them into a trash bin and stood there breathing hard, staring at the broken scraps. When I went home, the air felt lighter. I washed my hands, cooked, and forced myself to eat. My body felt warm again. My chest relaxed. I believed the nightmare was over. I slept early without remembering when I drifted off. Morning light touched my eyelids. I opened my eyes slowly. The picture was hanging on the wall again. Perfect. Whole. Untouched. The air in the hallway felt colder than before. The burned pentagram on the floor was larger, darker, deeper. The wood looked split and scorched, as if something hot had pressed itself there all night. New words were carved inside the shape. "You belong to me." I screamed. My legs shook. I backed away until my back hit the wall. My breath came fast and shallow. I ran to the bathroom. My stomach twisted violently. I leaned over the sink and gagged. Something thick rose in my throat. A long black hair slid out of my mouth. Wet. Heavy. Not mine. Another followed. Then another. A dark bundle dropped into the sink, twisted and slick. My throat burned. My vision blurred. I grabbed the edge of the sink to stop myself from falling. When I looked into the mirror, my face was pale. Tears ran down my cheeks without sound. Behind me, for 1 second, she stood again. Hair covering half her face. One bleeding eye. A burned symbol glowing under her hair. Her lips moved slowly, silently, like she was repeating something over and over. My name. Aya. Quiet. Patient. Claiming. I dropped to my knees. The apartment smelled like iron again, thick and sharp. The drain made a faint sound, like something breathing beneath it. I understood one thing with a heavy certainty. A curse does not leave when you tell it to go. A broken picture does not end what has already entered your life. It did not return to my wall. It never left. It stayed with me, breathing with me, learning my world. And it wanted me alive. So it could take everything slowly. One breath at a time. I did not sleep after the hair came from my throat. I sat on the bedroom floor with my back against the wall, knees pulled to my chest, waiting for morning like a child hiding from the dark. Every sound felt alive. Every breath felt shared. The air tasted faintly like iron again. I do not know when the sun rose. It felt as if the light forgot to touch my room. Even with the curtains open, everything remained gray and tired. My phone alarm vibrated on the floor. I did not move. I stared at the doorway. Finally, I stood. My body felt slow, as if I was moving underwater. My throat burned faintly, like a memory of something pressing up through it. I stepped into the hallway. The frame waited on the wall. Her head tilted almost fully toward me now. As if she had been listening to my heartbeat all night. Her one eye open. Wet. Alive. Bleeding softly inside the glass. The burned pentagram on her forehead looked deeper, glowing faintly like a coal trying to breathe. On the floor, the burned mark had spread wider, the wood cracked in thin branching lines, as if heat had crawled from inside the grain. New words had been scorched beneath my name. You cannot leave. My breath shook. My fingers trembled. I felt something cold behind my ribs, crawling like a shadow inside my chest. I took one step backward. And the glass cracked. A tiny sound at first, then another, like ice breaking on a frozen lake. I did not scream. I could not. The crack spread slowly across the surface of the frame, a thin white line, then another, until the glass was a web of trembling fractures. Her eye moved. Not the picture. Her actual eye. It rolled slowly upward, then looked directly at me. A wet drop slid down the inside of the cracked glass, slow and thick, like a tear that did not belong in this world. My voice broke out of me in a sound I did not recognize. A raw, small scream. Then the glass pushed outward, bulging, stretching, as if something behind it took a slow breath. A hand pressed against the inside of the glass. Fingers pale and thin. Nails black like burned bone. The surface split. Glass fell in quiet pieces onto the floor, like cold rain. She stepped out. Hair dragging like wet cloth. Face too pale for life. One eye open, bleeding, staring at me without blinking. The pentagram burned into her forehead, glowing faint and evil. She did not hurry. She moved like she had all the time in the world, like the room belonged to her now, not me. Her head tilted the same way it did inside the frame, only now the sound of bones seemed to click softly with the movement. I tried to step back, but my legs felt numb. My throat refused to make sound. She reached toward me. Her fingers hovered over my forehead. Cold air pressed against my skin. Then heat. Burning heat. A sharp, silent pain, not loud, but deep, like fire touching bone. I collapsed. My vision blurred. My mouth opened, but only a broken sound came out. I clawed at the ground, but my fingers felt weak, like they belonged to someone else. The room swayed. Her face leaned close to mine. Her breath felt cold and wet on my cheek. Her bleeding eye filled my whole world. I tried to pray, but the words fell apart in my mind like ash in wind. Then everything went black. Voices, distant and panicked. Doors opening. Footsteps. Hands on my shoulders. Shouts. Bright light. A siren. Someone yelling, "Call emergency. She is hurt. She is burning herself." No. No, I did not. But my voice did not reach them. My throat only made broken sounds. I saw hands holding me. Saw the hallway light. Saw faces looking down at me with fear and confusion. They were pulling me away from my door, away from my home, away from the frame. I screamed, but no voice came out properly, only scratches and breath. I tried to point. To warn them. She is out. She is real. Do not look at the picture. Do not touch it. No one understood. A woman held my face and whispered, "It is okay. You are safe now. Safe. Safe. Safe would never exist again. Now I am here. White walls. Locked door. Blank bed. Thin blanket. My wrist strapped so I do not hurt myself. They think I did this to my own skin. They think I burned a symbol on my forehead. They think the mark was made by my hand. But my hands were never mine again after she touched me. I can hear the fluorescent light humming. I can hear the air vent breathing like a quiet lung above my bed. At night I feel her watching. Standing in the corner. Hair hanging. One eye open. Bleeding. Waiting. Sometimes she walks closer. Slow steps that no one else hears. Her shadow crawls across the floor like smoke. The nurses smile gently. They write notes. They ask me who I am talking to. They think I am broken. But I am not broken. I am taken. I look at the hallway every time the door opens. And sometimes I see it. The picture frame on the wall outside. White frame. Clean glass. Fresh image. A girl inside it. Hair covering half her face. One eye visible. Bleeding. Staring. Not her. Me. I am here in this room. But I am also inside the frame. My face trapped behind glass. Breathing softly. Slowly. Patiently. Waiting for someone to pass by. Waiting for a stranger to look too long. Waiting for a new home. A new hallway. A new name to carve. Because she is not done. And neither am I.